We just got a new bow in the game, so you know what that means. I am obliged to re-record an entire tier list. Honestly, it's probably good, because in my re-recording of this last time, the stink bow had just come out, and I blazed past the xenon bow and the vacuum tube bow because I thought they were so good and so well known that it wasn't worth talking about. I am so sorry, beginners. I did not realize how many new people watch these videos and how useful tier lists are to brand new players. Let's talk about the xenon bow. All right, I came prepared. Let's show how the xenon bow is awesome. So you can see it can shoot through targets. It can pierce them at an infinite amount. The projectile is huge, and the extra damage you're seeing off to the side is Stoneheart Farah. I am going to link my best bow loadouts video in the description down below. They have a permanent spot in my builds for a reason, but Farah is kind of the queen of bows. She is best in the lead if you are using like the vacuum tube bow or something. We'll get to that in a second, but in support at least, she adds a lot of extra damage when you're shooting stuff, and you can see the white damage and the yellow damage on the side is what she's doing. So the xenon bow is just kind of awesome. It is everybody's default weapon. I could honestly say it is overused. You can get very bored running this weapon all the time, but it is an energy weapon that can shoot through builds and enemies and shielders and everything. Riot Huskies. It's unlimited. It doesn't do well against smokescreen, and it's only locked to energy, so it doesn't have elemental advantage, but it's got all the perks you want: affliction, range, archer talking in my video, and yeah, it is a fan favorite for a very, very good reason. The vacuum tube bow is the strongest bow in the game. You can see with Farah in the lead, that chain lightning is ludicrous. You charge it up halfway, and the chain lightning will activate her perk. So you're hitting an enemy, chaining to 6 targets, and then each of those 6 targets are branching off 5 ways, doing Farah's damage if she's in the lead, 3 ways in support. It is a very, very strong duality of weapons. So the xenon bow and the vacuum tube bow set the precedent for all other bows in Fortnite Save the World. The xenon bow is the universal pick, although I need to warn people, its damage is actually quite low. It is among, in fact, if we go like left to right in terms of the strongest bow, the xenon would be like down here towards the bottom, or whatever you want to, however you want to picture that. It's like number 8 or 9 out of, what are we at, like 15 bows now, 14? So it's not that strong. You should not be using it. You should not be using it against a smasher or a mini boss. That's not the weapon you want. The vacuum tube bow, a lot better for that purpose. Still not quite that strong. Bows and their single target damage is generally unimpressive, though there are some exceptions we'll get to in this tier list. The vacuum tube bow is very, very good for crowd clearing and still does plenty millions to a single target. It's just a very, very strong combination of bows. Now that we've gotten the best 2 bows in the entire game, I feel like the tier list can begin for real. The boom bow is another S tier weapon. So if I don't have a, all right, I'm ready again. Flashbang warning. So yeah, boom bow. I was so wrong. That's usually a good sign. The boom bow is a really, really strong bow. It doesn't have a reload perk, but it does have the elemental advantage. So you can use water and fire as shown here. And the damage is actually pretty good. You do want to use maybe Totally Rocking Out, and that does go a long way to making it hit a lot harder. It is not the best bow in the game, but as far as bows are concerned, you could see from instances like this, it was doing unexceptional damage prior. But once we've got Totally Rocking Out, going, once we've got a crowd of enemies nearby, you could see the damage it outputs is actually fairly impressive. So the boom bow, in my opinion, pretty good, especially if you consider the thumbnail there. If you're pairing it with Sub-Zero Zenith, he can actually make it so that you can freeze targets when it's critting. It's a pretty good weapon. I'm going to say it's low S tier. Other weapons will go ahead of it in a second here, but it's very, very good. The Cloudburst is another one that I was kind of wrong about. So this weapon is interesting because it does really, really good damage single target. I don't know if you can see that's like 1,000,000 damage, but it activates a cloud of steam that will carry the elemental damage of the weapon, and you can see it locks down a whole crowd. That white damage is Stoneheart Farah being activated from that steam cloud damage. So you can do a tremendous amount of damage to one single target with the elemental advantage. Then that steam cloud will essentially lock down an entire area. You'll see it pictured perfectly here. I charge it up, almost one-shots the Mist monster, but I actually killed a nearby target. So that's actually what happened there. I actually never noticed that in this clip. I am killing a baby target. Let's show that right here. I am shooting the baby target. The steam did all of that damage to the Mist monster, and then it dies a second later. It's been a long time bug where if you have effects off, you can't see the steam cloud, but it is there. It is there. And all those videos, by the way, will be linked down below. The cloud burst is very, very good. Not quite, you know, it's not chaining to the target, and it's not shooting through everything, but it's very, very strong. Now, the, oh man, I don't even remember the compression burster. There we go. This is more of an impact weapon rather than damage. It kind of does what the boom bow does, but worse, and I think it has better perks, but it's more so impact. That doesn't make it a horrible weapon, but I think B tier is fair for this. It does fine crowd clearing, and I do have videos on that as well, but we're just gonna move right along. There are a lot of basic bows in this game, and I think we should knock them out all in a row. The Nightfire is kind of, it shoots a target and then it dies or doesn't. Stoneheart Farah is kind of designed to help it out. Scrap Shot is just like a scavenger variant of it, and I don't remember exactly which one is scavenger of what, because all of these 3 bows are the exact same stats, except the Instigator has a special 6 perk. Let's see if I can track it down real quick. The Instigator, wow, I went right to it actually, makes it so that when you keep the bow drawn past max charge, it'll fire an arrow that debuffs the target, making it take 20% extra damage from all targets. It says it doesn't affect bosses. I'm not actually 100% sure on that, but I think it affects mini bosses, so it doesn't affect like the Storm King, but don't quote me on that. For what I'm saying is, it makes enemies take a lot more damage. So if you're using this as like a support role, and you're the teammate firing this, and they're the ones doing damage, even still, 10 seconds is a lot of time for you to switch off and use a different target, or use a different weapon on that target yourself. So it's a very, very good utility weapon. So while we've got, maybe I should bump these up to like C tier damage, no crowd clearing without Farah, really, really rough. Especially when bows like this exist, these might as well not exist. Like literally, these 2 weapons are so overtuned that if it's not S tier, it might as well be F tier. But if you want to just have fun and try out all the different bows in the game, which I really encourage you to do, the variety in this game is amazing. Consider the Instigator. It's neat. Now, the Love Song does something similar where it freezes enemies in place, but that's a lot less useful because as soon as you shoot them, they are not frozen anymore. So yeah, I don't know, D tier. I've never gotten much use out of that. Night Owl, very contentious. It used to be named our F tier. I don't really agree with that anymore. The Night Owl does really, really big damage, and then it can kill in like a nice explosion every 2 kills, which is fine. Maybe B tier. I've heard a lot about this weapon. I've had my own experience. They've had their own. It's a lot of competing opinions on that one. But the Night Owl has never impressed me. I really think B tier is being generous. I think it's fair, but that's where I'm going to put it for now. Powder Keg is another one that I thought it's interesting. So this is a weapon that explodes and does damage. It's not a tremendous amount, and it doesn't have affliction. Maybe it does nowadays. No, I don't believe it does. But if it's boosted with Totally Rockin' Out, it's actually a lot. So it went from like a high opinion of this weapon to a lower opinion, and now you can see from that encampment, Totally Rockin' Out boosting it is not something I ever used to like. I don't like judging a weapon based on how well it does with a team perk that gives it a massive damage bonus, but pretending that team perk doesn't exist is really disingenuous. So yeah, maybe without the team perk, it's like a B tier weapon, but if you're using Totally Rockin' Out, I would say it's like a high A tier. I'll put it low S tier, right above the boom bow. It's actually really, really decent. Spamming that explosion is really, really nice. Now, I mentioned single target. That was actually discussed in the Instigator and the Night Owl and the Vintertech Seeker, which is the hardest hitting bow in the game, kind of. So the Instigator does, the Vintertech Seeker does really, really good damage, but it also has these 3 extra arrows. You fire a single arrow that drops over time. And then keeping the bow drawn max charge will spawn additional homing arrows. So it'll do kind of quadruple damage. You can do well over 1 million damage very, very quickly. And I have done a tremendous amount with this weapon in videos before. I won't show it because I'm being lazy, but it's not that impressive. You shoot an enemy and then it's not there now. So I'll put it low A tier. It's really hard to take advantage of that because those homing arrows are not branching out enough to affect enough enemies to be that great. It doesn't explode. It shoots pretty slow. I feel like low A tier, high A tier is fine. It's a fun weapon. You should definitely try it and form your own opinion, but I think that's where it belongs. Now, yeah, someone in chat, I record these on stream, by the way, Twitch link down below if you guys ever want to watch these live, but Demon Gamer in chat said the smart arrows aren't smart enough, and that's just a fact. The Vintertech Seeker was actually bugged on release to where they didn't home towards anything, oof, and now they're just kind of, they're good, it's there if you want it. If you really want some variety, I recommend it. Now, the Stink Bow is our new weapon. This one's tricky, so It is a very hard-hitting weapon. I don't know if this showcases it, but yeah. Sometimes it doesn't crit, sometimes it kills in like one shot doing 4 million damage. And the Stink Cloud does not do enough. So it's a weapon that's really hard to work with. The Stink Cloud is just not doing enough. You can see I'm struggling versus a Smasher. Other times the Smasher will die in one hit. And I don't know. This weapon is an enigma. I'll put it in like low A tier because it's got potential, but that Stink Cloud needs a buff. And to this day, it is a known bug that the Stink Cloud does not activate Stoneheart Pharah's branching damage. So it's really, really underpowered in all zones that it's in. I think even in Stonewood and whatever, it's not that great, but it could be awesome. Still low A tier, I think, but yeah, the new weapon of the day. I got two things to talk about. First and foremost, on its own, the Flame Bow is fine. I feel like on its own, if you're boosting it, look at these 3 smashers it's going against. I am using Totally Rockin' Out, Rabbit Raider Jonesy in the lead, and it's still needing help from Purple Walrus here shooting a shotgun. Like, it's fine. Couple thousand affliction is okay. I think without anything fancy, I don't know if it's less than the Stink Bow. Like, I really think it's better than the Vindertech Seeker. So, like, maybe a mid to high A tier. Instigator is kind of an enigma to me. I don't know. I don't know yet. Yeah, I'm quoting Patrick a lot today. I've been watching SpongeBob. I'm sorry. By the way, Battle for Bikini Bottom, that's like my new game right now. I'm chilling with that. That is not on topic. But yeah, the Flame Bow, maybe above or below Instigator. I'm not really sure where it lies. However, enough of my commenters said, this is the same video, by the way, just later in the video. They said, you should try Sub-Zero Zenith, and oh my goodness, are they right. So, I've given you the ranking for this weapon kind of on its own, mid to high A tier. With Sub-Zero Zenith, you can see I am freezing smashers in place, and that branching fire can provide affliction that will crit and reapply that freezing. You can see I didn't get all 3, but I'm locking down 2 smashers right now, and every time I shoot them, it's branching the fire to the nearby enemies, which is just providing crowd. Yeah, I love the pause right there, which is providing crowd coverage to everything nearby. There's a lot going on here, but it's really interesting, and the fire doesn't quite branch out to every single target, so it's not exactly perfect. I did see a better clip here, and yes, I am flexing that we just played a Cypher PK, but in this video, I gave him the Flame Bow, and early on, we were doing an encampment where it did do some damage. Here, I'll show you. So here, we got Cypher PK using the Flame Bow, and you can see when he shoots a target, it branches out to like you, and you, so it only hit 3 targets. In a big crowd like this, you got like, it looks like 4, maybe the 5th one got hit. It's not that many, and that's the problem. With the Flame Bow, the whole idea with the Special 6 perk is that you shoot an enemy, and it branches that flame to 6 nearby enemies. But it actually says it branches to 6 nearby enemies, which is, you know, kind of looks like that, where if I just go back frame by frame, you could use the little arrow keys, not the normal arrows, but the period and comma on YouTube, by the way. You could see it's branching out to like 4 targets maybe, and we've got way more than 6 enemies around here. So I don't know, like, it's just really, really tricky. So if it branched out to all 6 enemies consistently, like the Vacuum Tube Bow does, I think it'd be a lot better. And if that affliction was higher, it could be a lot better. With Sub-Zero Zenith, I do believe it squeezes out an S tier pick. I do believe the explosion weapons are just better. Maybe better than the Boom Bow, but this could be a recency bias. I'm not 100% sure yet. I like the reload on this weapon. Boom Bow being the only bow without reload sucks. So I don't know if it's better or worse than Powder Keg. I don't know. That could be up for debate, but I'll put it low for now because this weapon needs some help. It is so close. It's so close to being like the fire pick for bows, but I just don't know what else to do with it. So there you go. That's the updated tier list. I have been trying to provide more gameplay, and like I said, all of these will be linked down below. I think this is fun. Instead of me just, you know, staring at a tier list, I can at least kind of show you guys what I mean with some of the more relevant weapons, and let me know if you guys like that. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new. If you guys want to see the scheduled videos I have on my channel early, you can become a channel member. Join button link down below. There's also a join button on the channel. I will not paywall any of my videos permanently, or at least I have no plans to, but I do schedule videos long before I've even done member-only stuff. So if you want to see the stuff that I have in the queue early, you can become a channel member. That's it. I'm out of here. Goodbye. Go try some new bows, you guys. It'll be a fun time.